welcome back to week 6 of the North American League Championship Series. I'm Trevor Quickshot Henry, and scoping out all the action with me today is Sam Kobe Hartman-Kensler. What did you do before casting?
I was an industrial engineer. I worked for a medical device company.
Not too shabby at all. All right, it's time for our third match of the day, Vulcun versus Dignitas.
This is the third game that these two teams have played this summer, and so far, Vulcun are up 2-0.
And in the third game of the day, and the third match between these teams, the 3 deadliest players in North America are facing off against one another.
Dignitas have 2 of these 3 league leaders in kills. Skara is in 3rd place with 84 kills, while PewDiePie is just above him in 2nd place with 85. But the league leader in kills so far this summer is Vulcan's mid laner, ManCloud. Through 15 games, he already has 89 kills. That puts him on pace for 166 for the split, which is 14 more than the spring split leader, which was Doublelift.
We'll see if he can keep up the pace. And with ManCloud leading the league in kills, it's no surprise that he came up big in Vulcan's 2 wins against Dignitas this summer already.
Yeah, it was ManCloud and Smithy who shut down Skara's APE at MLG during week 3. And then they put the hurt on Kiwi Kid's Twisted Fate in week 4. So far, the mid lane has belonged to Vulcan in the 2 games that these teams have played.
Yeah, but not to be forgotten is, of course, Vulcan's shot caller and support player, Bloodwater.
He has been involved in 34 of Vulcan's 41 kills versus Dignitas, and he also leads the league in assists so far this summer with 182.
All right, well, ManCloud and Bloodwater have stepped up in their games against Dignitas this split. Zuna thinks there's a couple more reasons why Vulcan has been stepping all over Skara and crew this summer.
With Dig, it's pretty much Skara has a really limited champion pool, and PewDiePie has only been playing Graves, so we've been abusing that a lot lately.
Those are some pretty strong words. So it's abusing the champion pool. So let's take a look at today's starting lineups. On the blue side, it is, of course, Vulcan. Psycho Sid up in the top lane. In the jungle, it's Xmithy. Mandatory Cloud in the mid lane, as well as Zuna and Bloodwater as that duo lane.
And on the red side, it's Dignitas. Kiwi Kid is up top, Crumbs is in the jungle, Scar is mid lane, PewDiePie is AD carry, and Patoy is supporting.
All right, and the battle between the league's most deadly mid laners is our featured matchup of the day. Vulcan's ManCloud versus Skara from Dignitas.
Finally, ManCloud is getting some recognition. He leads the league in kills, and he's on the 2nd place team, and those are not superfluous stats. He is also a key playmaker for his team. Skara, on the other hand, has been one of the most popular players in all of North American LCS for a long time now, and he's had some of the most flashy performances of the split.
But one of the knock-ons on North America's all-star mid laner has been his limited champion pool. And like Zuna said during that one, Vulcan have been trying to take advantage of that.
Yeah, so Vulcan are going to be looking to ban out Skara, but Dig can't really do the same thing to ManCloud. He has a huge list of champions to draw from. And one champion that's actually on that list that both of them love is Ryze. Both of these guys have gone undefeated on the Rogue Mage. Scar is 2 for 2, while ManCloud is 3 for 3.
So we'll see if Scar is going to be able to get his hands on that Ryze. Again, he's looking to repeat the performance. And we'll be jumping into Champion Select in just a moment. And outside of the obvious ban out Scar's Diana, which is something we see so often, and Ryze, the staples, Elise, Jace, they're all in that list for ban or PICS.
Yeah, and the talk from Vulcan here actually makes me wonder if they're planning on banning out Master Yi, because even though Dignitas have lost with Master Yi, Scar said that's still one of his favorite champions, and it's definitely one of the spectators' favorite champions. Everybody loves looking for those Yi sets.
Yeah, so the Yi sets, I see what you did there. Vulcan have managed to take out 2 ninjas so far, Zed, Ken, and these are very, very quick bans. On the other side, Elise, Evelyn, and Lysandra, but crucially, Diana and Ryze are still both available.
So they talked about focusing on Skara here, and Skara hasn't actually played Lysandra yet in the LCS, but we've been seeing her banned a lot because she can set up teamfights so incredibly well and offers a lot of CC to any team.
Incredibly popular over in Europe is Lysandra as well, being used extensively. Vulcan immediately locking in that Nunu. The Ryze has been handed over to Skara. We've been talking about it in the preamble. We'll see if he can go, 3 for 3 and match the record.
Yeah, that would even it up between the two, so they both have 3 wins with Ryze here. But really what I want to talk about is this Nunu pickup, because now that we're on the 3.9 patch, they've reduced the true damage on that consume a little bit. He can still do the combo of flashing over and consume smiting. You're not going to be able to get rid of that one, but they did tone it down a notch, and his free HP from leveling up was also toned down. So that's actually a pretty decent hit to bring him back in line with other junglers.
So we'll see quite how well he'll be used in xSmithy's hands in that jungle for Vulcun. We do see the Lee Sin was locked in once again for Dignitas. So we're seeing a significant amount of Lee over the side of the pond. He's outside of Arenea's hands, not all that popular in Europe. But Vulcun, they've locked in their AD carry and support, so they're leaving their solo laners for last.
Yeah, Lee Sin has really made a resurgence over here because he's a very fun champion for a lot of these junglers to play, and he has some of the capabilities of making those spectacular plays, which most of these guys love trying to pull off here. Crumbs especially has always loved the Lee Sin and the Xin Zhao because of their early game prominence and their early game playmaking ability. A side effect of taking that Lee Sin in the jungle early is that he usually will pick up that sight zone to accommodate for his blindness, and that allows a lot of free vision for your team as he's trying to jump around and make those moves in the jungle.
We'll see how quickly Crumbs can get his hands on that sight stone. Now, PewDiePie is hovering over Sivir. It was actually used earlier today in the EU LCS. It didn't work out all that well, however, but it has been swapped over. So Fiddlestick's locked in. Fiddlestick's Kate, another support Fiddle. You know, Jat mentioned in the previous game, it's something, it's not like super niche, but it is one of those fringe support champions.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people favor the heavy crowd control supports here over the sustain ones. Sona being the exception. That's pretty much the main sustain support that we see, because she also brings crowd control with the crescendo there. So Fiddlestick's extremely popular, and he can get off to a very early start. Like we saw Edward, don't even put any points into Drain, because your strongest attributes that you're bringing to a team fight are the silence and the fear.
So just max those up as quickly as possible. Dignitas leaving most likely their top laner, could be mid laner if QB wanted to take that rise. You know, we've seen QB and Scarra chopping and changing the champions and even positions throughout the split. So it's something that you've always got to keep in mind. However, Zuna has locked in his Cogmore, and I'm going to say his Cogmore because nobody else is really playing it to the same level.
It's pretty interesting that they've decided for Kog'Maw even when Tristana is available too, because he's pretty much had a clear order of AD carries that he prefers. Kog'Maw's on the list, but Tristana's always been the queen, the one at the top of that list. And it's because she does have the extra escape with her rocket jump. So maybe this is some training for Zuna that they've decided after his poor positioning last week, they want to force him on Kog'Maw so that he has no rocket jump and he doesn't get over aggressive. If you're on Kog'Maw and you have poor positioning, you're at the front of the fight, you'll instantly pay for it there. So we're definitely gonna have to keep eyes on that Zuna play. He's gonna have to work around the Nunu ultimate and the crescendo from Sona there. So he's got some good backup, but we're definitely gonna have to keep our eyes on his positioning in team fights.
While Dignitas are locking in their last champion, the composition has been rounded out for Vulcun. They've got Ezreal, Cogmore, Zac, Nunu. So Nunu, Zac could go lane, could go jungle. We're most likely gonna see Zac in one of the solo lanes. And maybe even a mid lane Ezreal is a possibility.
Yeah, it's looking like a very strong team here because of the disengage, but also because of the re-engage that they could use after blowing the cooldowns here off of Dignitas. What you want to do against like a team with Fiddlesticks is bait out the Crow Storm and basically slow him down and kite him, and then re-engage after that's down, because he's very squishy after that. And if you can get a hold of him, then they can blow him up easily. So one of the popular strategies, like you said, bringing 2 AD carries works a lot when you use a utility tank jungler and a utility tank top laner.
So that's working in their favor. We'll see whether or not this all-in composition of Dignitas will be able to stick to Vulcun long enough to make this damage, you know, matter. We are loading up into the game very, very shortly, and two very different compositions, two very different styles of gameplay. The laning in the early game is going to be instrumental for both of these teams.
And they're going to have to pay attention to not only the laning in the early game, but the jungling in the early game. Anytime you have Nunu in the game, the buffs are constantly under contest. Everybody's working so hard to keep the timers on every single buff, not just your own, but all the enemy ones as well, because those are so important now with all the extra experience being allotted onto them. We'll have to be keeping track of Smithy as well as all 4 jungle timers of each 4 buffs.
And something that Vulcun will definitely have to keep their eyes on is all the vision as well. To keep up the pressure, make sure they can carry on stealing as those buffs respawn. We are in game right now. It is, of course, Vulcun on the left-hand side in the blue trunks, as well as Dignitas on the right-hand side of your screen in the red trunks. Starting, there's a lot of biscuits and a large number of wards, but more so in favor of Dignitas than Vulcun.
Yeah, I mean, every time we've seen Rise, he's gone utility, gone for that biscuit. Scar also picks up the extra ward here, and he actually places it extremely early just to get out some vision and see if Vulcun go for the red side invade, while Crumbs is going to try and see Bloodwater here.
So he'll probably spot him out, but we're just getting a very deep ward down. He's very lucky that there's no one else, but he's extremely out of position now, deciding to go the long way around. And on Dignitas, they're quite aggressive themselves.
So definitely some expected wards from Dig over here, the normal Wraith ward and the red Bush ward. But the interesting thing put down here by Bloodwater was the double Golems ward at the very top. We'll also see some extra vision for that top lane. So it makes me wonder if they're going to want to try and contest some early action here on the red side jungle.
Some very brave moves from both Batoy and Bloodwater, just solo running through their enemy's jungle. Nobody willing to commit to a fight or really get involved though, so nobody's caught out. And we'll see who's going to make use of this information more. You have to feel that Dignitas, with all this additional vision and poising, they really want to be 100% aware of where Smithy is, what he's doing, and try to keep tabs on him so they don't get invaded on.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest parts when you are against the Nunu is the first 4 buffs that spawn. If one team's able to grab 3 out of those 4, it's a huge win for them. And Nunu's always the one that brings that extra threat. So what they're actually going to do is a delayed invade over at the blue just to see that Dignitas have not started there. And Smithy, it makes me think that he'll probably be going over there second, since the AD carry and supports are both bottom.
So we'll have to keep our eyes on this invade. They did get that ward down on the blue buff, and you can see that Lee Sin is over towards his red. So as Crumbs decides to move around, maybe the pressure is going to be enough to set it up. We are going to see straight matchups in this game. Zac versus Rumble in the top, as well as Ezreal versus Rise in the middle, and our duo lanes down bottom. And it's just going to be a little bit of a slugfest to see who's going to get this early lane dominance.
And the main difference there from that level 1 was that we had Smithy using his smite because he soloed his own red buff, whereas Crumbs over here still has his available, and they are going to be able to both get their own buffs secured. No early disadvantage for that Lee Sin. So now it's on Crumbs to make an early move, try and pull off a gank before Nunu has time to come into his jungle.
So a tentative start here from both of these teams, and almost on cue, Crumbs is moving his way towards this mid lane. He does have those double buffs up. A little bit of pings on the blue side of the jungle, so Vulcun are aware of Crumbs' positioning, and they're playing a little bit defensively as Zuna and Bloodwater are a little overextended.
Yeah, they haven't felt the need to pull back here because they do have the upper hand down there in that bottom lane, and Crumbs was seen coming through the river. So Smithy has taken this time to gain an experience advantage. He's cleared an extra camp now on Crumbs. And it's all because of that one ward that Vulcun did have in the bottom side river.
Vision is going to be so important for both of these junglers, as they're both incredibly mobile and want to be getting in their opponent's faces. So we'll have to see how this next round of wards, where and when they get put down to determine some of the plays. Psycho Sid and Kiwi Kid just trading up here in the top lane. A lot of damage, and look at Scara forced to flash away from Manclouds.
Very, very early flash here. We do have Manclouds flash up as well, so he does have kill potential in this mid lane, and that's why you can see the junglers hovering around. They're just waiting to pounce on this mid lane with the vulnerable Rise.
So Ignite is available for Scara, but Ignite is not for Mancloud, as that previous engage is just trading damage back and forth. There's a fairly large wave here for Mancloud, as we do see Smithy coming in from the side. Ice Blast lands, Mancloud gets the last hit, and that's first blood on the board.
Yeah, vulnerable Rise there. No flash means no escape, and he also didn't have vision, so great job by Smithy taking advantage of that pop summoner that Mancloud was able to get rewarded with first blood. Meanwhile, top, speaking of ward coverage here, since Psycho Sid did start that Doran shield, Dignitas are very much aware that he has no wards. There's no vision up in that top side. But because Rumble's damage is mostly AoE, he's always constantly shoving, and it's very hard for an early dive to come from that Dignitas side.
Down in the bottom lane, the pressure is on as Bloodwatch is forced to back away. Ignite was ticking, he survives it. Zuna sticks around, burns through the last of his mana, putting as much damage down as possible. As now we jump to the top lane. Flash away from Kiwi Kid. The Ice Blast is going to land. 210 HP on the board. They're going to start face tanking the tower. Overheat is up. Tower hit's going to drop Big Smithy. They're going to trade 1-for-1, and Psychosid gets away with his life.
Almost popped the Zac passive as well. Very close right there. And this is the second time that we've seen Rumble come out with a kill in a 2-versus-1 situation. Not quite as clean as balls there, but Kiwi Kid was able to grab one.
Well played by Kiwi Kid to at least get that kill on the board. He's even with CS and has got the same number of kills as his lane opponent, so we'll see what he decides to actually pick up in the shop. Amp time as well as that Ruby Crystal. So going to be working towards some early penetration to make that strong damage of Rumble's stick.
And we've seen an early Sight Stone picked up by the Nunu, which is exactly what you want to do as this champion. You want to continue to place wards deep inside the enemy jungle so that he can get his counter jungling going here.
So we'll see how and where these wards get positioned. Smithy, 2 ganks placed, 2 of them successful. He's hovering around the mid lane again, well aware that Scar's flash is not up or available. He's basically just waiting for the go sign from ManCloud.
Yeah, basically what we have is another minute, because the 5-minute spawn time on these buffs means that at around 7 minutes is when the next one is going to come back up. So Nunu would like to preemptively ward inside Dignitas jungle and get vision of Crumbs so that he can be safe in his next invade and go for that 7-minute which would be red buff that would come up for Crumbs here.
So we'll see if he does actually decide to move up towards them. ManCloud's the man that's taking the small walk over. He's got a ward in his back pocket. Psychosid and Kiwi Kid going toe-to-toe. That's a level 6 almost on both of them. The ManCloud's coming in from the side.
And that's because Psychosid saw the ward placement. He always used Let's Bounce.
So take a look at that. Equalizer is now available for Kiwi Kid if he wants to use it. He's turned tail. He's trying to run, but he's running the opposite direction. This is enemy territory he's heading towards. One tower hit gets picked up, the second in the background. He's trying to just deny an assist from ManCloud, and it does look like Psychosid will be able to pick this one up. He's taking Kiwi Kid on a long walk down the beach.
ManCloud doesn't want to waste any more time. He wants to get right back to that lane. Meanwhile, Scar's taking this time of freedom to roam down bottom.
Now Zuna's been feared up. The drain is on. He's been silenced as well. A lot of damage from PewDiePie, and that drops him down to 100, but Zuna does get away thanks to that flash and barrier.
And not level 6 there for PewDiePie, so there's no ace in the hole, no sneaky snipe gonna come out and try and finish him. Basically 2 sort of wasted roams there by both mid laners, and no kills coming down.
Gotta give some props to Kiwi Kid for at least realizing, look, I'm going to die, and at least denying some of that golden experience to his opponents and taking Psychosid on that walk. So Zac is now 2-0 in lane, 47 CS to 35, and looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually a fairly substantial amount of gold. It's an extra 50% on any kill if you do add an assist to any member, sir. So it's definitely worth it to take that route. And Kiwi Kid made the best of a bad situation. Now, though, he's going to have to deal with a Negatron cloak Zac. So not only is Zac going to be healing up so much from his passive and those bloblets, but he's got the magic resistance to basically ward off most of that damage.
And we'll see how well it can work for Psychosid. They've now returned to that lane as the blue buff has been picked up and donated there to ManCloud. Dignitas' blue buff is still on the map. Crumbs and Scara have not made a move for it just yet. You have to feel that that's going to be the next objective they'll be looking to pick up. Up in the top lane, Smithy is once again sniffing around, trying to set up yet another gank. He's been omnipresent on this map.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's focused mostly on ganks instead of counter jungling here. But he's not really worried about getting that very early jungle presence because they're running a double AD comp. So his Blood Boil is basically what they're looking for him in the late game. They just want his extra scaling for these ADs, and they're happy to just sort of beef up their lanes with constant ganks rather than trying to keep down Crumbs with the invade.
So we'll see how well it works out in terms of the mid lane. Talking about those ADs, Mandatory Cloud 75 CS to Scara 61. He actually soloed his blue buff while Crumbs was defending off that lane and picking up a little bit of lane tax. So both mid laners returning and stacking up that tier of the goddess. Keeping in mind it is 3.9.
Flash Fear!
Fear is out. Bloodwater's been moved over to the side. He's going to get dropped before Crescendo can go off. Crowstorm is being channeled as Smithy jumps forward. Absolute Zero is now out. Patoy's going to be the next one to fall. They trade support for support.
So Patoy does go for 1 point in drain life there. You can see the ineffectiveness of a support Fiddlesticks trying to drain tank there, and he does end up going down. But the flash was also burned. Psycho Sid now engaging on Kiwi Kid.
So Let's Bounce is available, as is his Ignite. While he's overheating, Kiwi Kid's just going to back away safely, and Psycho Sid decides not to go all in on that one. On the other hand, Kiwi Kid's put a lot of damage down to Psycho.
He is in the danger zone right now, so he's getting the extra 50% damage on that Flame Spitter. You can see the effectiveness right there, even through a Negatron Cloak.
So thanks to that, almost just the damage is shredding his HP bar. Overheating once again, picking up as many last hits as possible. Jump back to the mid lane, and ManCloud is basically just farming this up. We've seen him use a number of True Shot barrages just to keep the pressure pushed and keep Scarra's Rise on the defensive.
One of the very old weaknesses that people always used to list on Rise was his his difficulty farming under turret. That's mostly before 6 and before he has a blue buff, though. At this point, Scar is free to just spam his spells for all the last hits, and it shouldn't be hard for him to keep up in CS.
Psycho Sid's bouncing, jumping in there, slingshots onto Kiwi Kid and gets him down to below 1,000 HP, but it's just a slugfest. They're just trading blows back and forth, and neither player's really committed to a full fight yet.
It's very nice for Psycho Sid that he's going up against an AP solo laner, because building Spirit Visage is already a great item on Zac because he does so much healing that the increased healing from that it definitely pays off. Just being able to lane against a magic user means that he can build the Negatron Cloak early and get into that lane bullying situation.
Almost double its effectiveness as is coming up against a double AP Dignitas. ManCloud in the mid lane takes a lot of damage from Scarra's Rise as 3 members of Dig are now jumping on Dragon up in the top lane. Kiwi Kid does look like he's going to go down. Psycho Sid, he misses the stretching arms down the bottom lane. Dragon has been started.
So they lose a kill, and they're also going to lose that Dragon!
Crescendo was locking up 3 members. Bloodwater picks up the first kill in this bottom lane. ManCloud's trying to focus out Scarra, but it turns his attention to Crumbs. That's a double kill there for Bloodwater. Dragon has not been finished yet, and Vulcun now at positioning.
Vulcun win both the 1 vs 1 top and the 4 vs 4 down at Dragon. They're going to be rewarded with that extra global gold right now. Ooh, this is really a huge turning point for this Vulcun team, especially since they are running the double ADs that will be very potent in the late game.
4,000 gold difference between these two teams right now. 7 kills to 2. Even though there's no towers on the board just yet, Vulcun are really grabbing this game by the reins.
Plus, we just saw another Arcane Barrage from ManCloud right there to just get the extra CS and clear out the minions that were at his turret. When we talk about pressure in the different lanes, a lot of the times we're referring to the minion waves being pushed up and the free damage that Scar could get on that turret, but because of the kit that Ezreal does possess, able to clear that one out and relieve that pressure.
And it allows Vulcun just to exert the control over all areas of the map, even while doing that gank down towards the bottom, and keeps up all of that, the minions in their favor in the mid lane. We see a Manamune has already been completed for ManCloud as his first major item, and it's something we're seeing a little bit more of because of the changes to tier.
Yeah, you want to get that upgraded even quicker now because it's going to charge on auto attack, and the regular tier does stack quite a bit slower now. So he immediately returns to grab this red buff here, as an Ezreal at any point in the game with red buff adds that extra annoying factor that is really the reason that the blue buff Ezreal was started, in being able to slow people with your Mystic shots.
Yeah, from range, keeping yourself safe, and if you get any poked out, dive in for the fight. Once again, True Shot Barrage used to just hit a couple minions. I don't think it was ideally aimed, but ManCloud's going to be able to finish off most of this mid lane and maintains that CS advantage over his opponent, but it is what you would expect in an AD carry versus a mage setup.
Well, he's just continuing on with the same strategy that's been working for him so far, using his ability. Oh, there we go, Crescendo.
Cutie-Pie's been locked up. Smithy's trying to put himself in position. Absolute Zero is available. He starts to channel it, immediately kicked away as Crumbs throws out the Dragon's Rage kick. He's going to safeguard over to a ward, actually, not giving the shield over to Cutie-Pie. He's the first one to fall. The Crowstorm comes in. You can hear them cawing in the background. Like Smithy surviving it all. Barrier popped by Zuna. The focus is on Cosmo. Can they get him down? The answer is no. Bloodwater picks up his 3rd kill of the game as Scarra arrives to the party, but you are not early enough.
There's the power of the double supports plus AD carry on the bottom lane. Such control added from the Sona and Nunu combo where it allows Zuna to just fire away from the back line and continually put out damage without having to worry about his position.
So well played to them. We'll see if Zuna can keep up that positioning in the mid lane. ManCloud's been held in place by Skara. They're trading back and forth, but with blue and red, ManCloud feels he likes his chances. True Shot Barrage goes out. A great Mystic Shot onto the backside of Skara, dropping very, very low. ManCloud's thinking about this, but decides against it.
That was all because of the roam down bottom there from Skara, trying to alleviate the minion wave on that bottom turret there. And Mandatory Cloud, again, with the same strategy, just continually shoving that mid lane. Now he's even on the secondary turret, and no one's answering that minion wave.
So 3 towers in favor of Vulcun now. They've picked up the first dragon of the game. We see in the top lane, Psycho Sid has a 2-level advantage over his opponent, Kiwi Kid. In the mid lane, Mandatory Cloud, a 2-level advantage over Skara. It's all going well for them right now.
So this Nunu team, finally they do get a buff steal, but it's actually Mandatory Cloud on the Ezreal who's taking away the blue buff. No consume necessary.
So just too strong right now. With those buffs, he had them already. The Shot Barrage! It lands from downtown. We've been talking how he's using it to clear out waves. There he used it to secure a kill.
And we were talking about Mandatory Cloud's large list of champions that he can pull from. We didn't talk about any of the AD carries that he can actually pull from, but he's definitely showing here that he is well versed on that Ezreal.
And this is something that we see, again, not in every single game, but double AD carries, it's a strat you can pull off, and if you get ahead, it's such a great position to be in with all of that damage to follow up your utility tank, you know, top laner and jungler in this case. Zuna, very overextended right now, realizes that Bloodwater's coming to help him out from the side, and they're just keeping the pressure on this inner turret.
Yeah, I was going to say, the reason he's up there is because he knows he's got Bloodwater with not only ward coverage of the full blue side jungle, but also an Oracles to clear out the wards of Dignitas. So if Dignitas want to make Zuna pay for pushing up this far, they have to go into Fog of War, and they will be unaware of any counter gank situation.
Psycho Sid decides he wants to bounce up in Kiwi Kid's grill, manages to dodge the first Electro Harpoon, eats the second one. Unstable Matters are popping, another slingshot backs up, he's burned his Ignite, gonna carry on chasing, Equalizer is out, the Ignite's ticking away, and Psycho Sid picks up an easy kill.
Psycho Sid did not take any damage for the first 20 seconds of that fight because he's been stacking that magic resist, and he has the heal, the extra 20% there from the Spirit Visage on top of his passive. It was just, you can see the effect of any rumble there, and you can tell this top lane is going to go from bad to worse right now.
Dignitas are faltering in every single lane right now. That gold deficit is up to 9,000 at the 18-minute mark. That's 50% of the HP dropped on the inner turret in the top lane. The inner turret in the mid lane is being dropped as well. And Zuna's going to carry on pushing this bottom lane. It's everything in favor of Vulcun right now.
Exactly. They're just constantly shoving up the minion wave. So that gives you 2 benefits. Not only are you going to be able to constantly deny your enemy minion kills to the turrets and get damage on those turrets, but you also constantly have vision of your enemies because the minions are always shoved up into their lanes, and that allows you to take whatever you want out of their jungle here. As you can see there, they were even going for those double golems, but Cutie Pie claims that soul.
Next, Smithy and ManCloud taking away the wolf camp over here. They've taken the blue buff away. They've now stacked up a couple numbers on this tower, and Crumbs, he hasn't really got a lot of items to contest as Dignitas and the rest of the team group up in the mid lane to try to defend, but they're losing so much HP in this bottom lane.
Nobody can go up to answer Zac, and nobody can come answer this dual lane of Bloodwater Zuna because of that perimeter wards that they've placed so deep in Dignitas jungle. Here's Kiwi Kid gonna pay once again.
X-Smithy's gonna go in, Absolute Zero's being channeled, Psycho Sid not using Let's Bounce just yet, decides to back away. Smithy's actually gonna get dropped, a little bit overconfident.
Yeah, he's not paying anything.
Got caught out there, ate too much damage from the Equalizer in the bottom lane. Bloodwater and Zuna, they're playing very, very safe. Crescendo locks up Cutie Pie, Exhaust is down. The Blade of the Rune King gets pulled down, Cutie Pie gets dropped. All too easy for the two of them.
you have limited resources on your team. There's only 5 members, so if they send those 2 up to the top to help Kiwi Kid, Patoy going up there to support him, it means that we had QtPie left all by his lonesome down there with the 2 from Vulcun.
And Zuna's just going to 1v1. Crumb's going to carry on chasing. Flash forwards. He gets a rampage 403, tanking up that tower for a number of hits, but he does survive. Up in the top lane, Psycho Sid once again going all in on Kiwi Kid. Let's Bounce is available, decides against it.
And Kiwi Kid's cooldowns are not back up right now, so it is a bit dangerous. But the reason he backed off is because of the wards in that jungle. For Vulcun, saw Scar moving up, and he was afraid of the counter gank.
4th tower of the game secured for Vulcun, and Dignitas just, they haven't really been able to make a play stick. They've been reacting and trying to claw back whenever Vulcun dive in, all since that first dragon.
Yeah, very nice early game here from Vulcun, who are definitely known as a late game team. They've really been able to snowball that early lead, and the reason, or the way that they do this, is continually picking up these free objective, or not, this extra dragon when they have the vision from the shoved up minion waves.
Yeah, it's complete control of every single lane right now. Gonna give them all the time in the world to pick up that Drake. Mandalorian Cloud with that last Whisper returns to the mid lane. Put some poke down into Scar, and Scar is fairly beefy right now. Getting very close to, a couple of completed items, but nothing completed yet. Still sitting on the tier, still sitting on the Glacial Shroud and the Warden's Mail. He hasn't completed a big ticket item at the 20-minute mark.
He's got a whole bunch of mana though, which does scale up Ryze's damage, and he's been building in preparation for this late game dual AD combination. You can see he's put a lot of emphasis on the armor. So he's going to eventually get that Frozen Heart, and he's already got the Warden's Mail. So he's going to try and get as many attack speed slow items as he can. Being able to stack those 2 would be a great benefit for the team, because anytime either Zuna or Mandalorian Cloud attack him, they are going to have their attack speed reduced a great deal, and it can counter that Blood Boil. The thing is, Vulcun have this 10k gold lead already, and they've got Vision of Baron. Don't know if they're even going to let Scar get to that point.
So we'll see if they manage to jump it in. We see Psycho Sid launches himself in with that elastic slingshot. Crumbs does have a couple of wards, no Sightstone yet. He's going to make do just picking up each individual item. Patoy was poising himself, was thinking about that Crow Storm over the wall, decides against it. In terms of the AD carries, QtPie does have his Infinity Edge, which is crucial for his damage, but Zuna's not very far off that right now.
No, and Zuna, even not being very far off, his Infinity Edge didn't come at much of a cost. He's rushed that Blade of the Rune King as per usual for him, which could allow them to take down a Baron very quickly. And if they do come out ahead in this one, then he's going to be able to pick up that Infinity Edge. Zac actually is still up in the top lane here, though, so they are going to pull back.
So they do have pink wards in there. At least they knew that Dignitas weren't 100% aware of it. Now that Dig have pushed forward, they'll need to be a bit more cautious than they try again.
Now Zac's coming around for the back!
The crescendo locks them up. Scarage just gets deleted from the map. A double kill for Mandatory Cloud, but he's not done. Arcane shifts aggressively forward. 2 easy kills for Vulcun.
Vulcun definitely have free reign now. They can easily take this top turret, and QtPie does get caught.
It's not over yet. Another Mystic Shot lands. QtPie's dropped. Barrier forces up. There goes the Arcane shift forward as Mancloud gets feared. He goes back into the tower. Dragon's Rage kick knocks him in the background. Bloodwater picks up his 4th kill of the game as Let's Bounce comes out from Psycho Sid. They get 1 kill back, but that's 4 members of Dignitas down.
And they only took out 1 of the AD carries. Zuna's still here. They're going to be able to continue this march on the mid lane.
So mid inner turret is down. Smithy's bashing away on the top inner turret. They've got vision control of their opponent's jungle, and once Mancloud respawns, he's just going to amplify all the damage they've got. That's a 13,000 gold lead right now.
So those 2 secondary turrets that they just got off of that team fight mean that there's even more control on this Baron side of the map. So if Vulcun return over there and they clear out the Baron, then there's a long stretch of ground that Dignitas have to cover to contest the next Baron. With Zuna having that Blade of the Rune King that we talked about, plus his Cogmod W, they will be able to shred that Baron very quickly.
And if you look at the mini-map, all of the vision is there to back that up. Make the map look like a Christmas tree is the policy. As Zuna gonna go toe-to-toe. Scara thinks he wants this fight. He does have his Frozen Heart completed. He's gonna chase in. Void Ooze is up. Zuna's gonna carry on chasing. Bloodwater's coming in to help out. The heal, a little bit of poke, and that was all too easy.
Yeah, Zuna did a really good job of kiting into the bush, though. Even though he had backup coming, he He baited Scar in even further until he was able to use that combo and make sure he couldn't get away by laying down the Void Ooze comboed with the Blade of the Ruined King activation.
So you can definitely tell Scar is feeling the pressure right now. Feeling like he needed to go in, try that 1v1, try to pull something back. He's currently 0-3-0 and starting to fall off the pace as far as CS is concerned. But when every single lane is pressured, it's difficult to respond if you're Dignitas. You can see middle lane, bottom lane, it's being attacked by 2 AD carries.
Yeah, the Warden's Veil didn't help Scar. Now we have the offensive here for Dignitas. They're going right on Zuna.
The Crescendo locks them up, but Toy does manage to get the Crow Storm out though. Rumble picks up the first kill. That is onto Kog'Maw. Smithy's trying to back away. Now in the mid lane, keep your eyes, Zach and Ezreal. They're on the towers. They've got that down. Patoy is dropped. His HP is low. He's draining away the best he can. That's a support and a jungler that secured that one up. Cutie is going to carry on chasing. Ace in the hole goes up. Going to be able to secure the kill. Scar trying to defend, but it's not enough. They trade 2 for 2 and an inhib.
Dignitas didn't have any choice. That was their desperation right there. They had to hard engage. They were able to trade 2 kills, but because of that, Scar by himself in the mid was not able to defend, and Vulcun did take the inhibitor off of that one.
So one thing that does play into Dignitas' favor a little bit, the minions are now going to be even more on their doorstep. If they can control those waves and farm, they can try close this 15,000 gold deficit, but it's a difficult position to be in.
It's compounded by the fact that Baron's still up. So if they huddle in their base and they try and take advantage of those waves constantly pushing to their base to farm up, then Vulcan's just going to go ahead and grab that Baron, and they'll come knock in next time with a purple buff.
We'll see if they can get their hands on that purple buff. Vision once again going out from Bloodwater, maintaining superiority in that pit, just trying to get as much control as possible. If you look at the top lane though, ManCloud is a little bit out of position. He's being surrounded. Cutie Pie's coming in, gonna trade damage back and forth. ManCloud is so much stronger though. He's gonna drop Cutie Pie before Scara can even get there, and another kill for ManCloud.
This is a solo lane, Ezreal. Remember Cutie Pie here that you're trying to deal with, and with the blue buff on him, blue buff, blue build, Ezreal definitely comes out ahead, and now Scar has to run too.
So Scar is on the back foot. He's been dropped. Exhaust was out. So much damage down, almost getting ManCloud out. But Xmithy was pulling away the rest of Dignitas, ensuring they didn't respond. And with those kills, I think ManCloud's taking the lead for most kills in the LCS.
He definitely does not want to give up that crown. He's making a great case for himself. After those 2 kills, not only does it give ManCloud the title, but Vulcun are also going to be able to get a 4-man Baron while simultaneously split pushing the bottom lane.
Crescendo locks up Crumbs. He is just dropped. Slingshot is going to be available for Sid in a second as he gets back into that pit. Free pit, free kill, and the bottom lane now, Kog'Maw pushing the lane down.
Again, you can't blame Crumbs too much for that one. It's a desperation move that Dignitas are in right now. They're taking chances that they normally wouldn't take because they're so far behind. Basically, their hope was that they could somehow miraculously steal that Baron. Crumbs didn't even plan on getting out of that one if he did, but that's the danger of trying to steal a Baron against a team that can hop walls.
So one of the things that is playing into Vulcan's favor is the fact that Bloodwater is not hesitating on those crescendos. He's using them to lock up single targets, securing the kill on the target, and then rolling onto the objective. And it's something that you have to give him props for. He's currently 4-1-11, maybe securing a few too many kills.
That's the reason why Sona's his favorite support, and he's picked him so often in the LCS, though, is because of the kit there, with the crescendo being such a powerful game-changing ultimate. Even coming from a support, Bloodwater makes plays all day long.
So that we see once again, True Shot Barrage being thrown up to that top lane. Can at least maintain complete control of every single lane in the game. 7 towers to 0. Vulcun have not even lost a single one of their turrets. The inhib will be respawning shortly in this mid lane, and you can see Vulcun, they want to keep the pressure on. They want to make sure they've got super minions pushing against their opponents.
With the Baron buff and their main tank being Zac, they can also easily go for a tower dive. So if Cutie Pie is down bottom right here, Zac can start up a fight and be able to tank that turret for a very long time.
With 2 AD carries, they're just shredding that tower's HP down. That was a wave and a half worth of creeps, and with Kog'Maw and Ezreal, they've dropped it down. The next wave that appears, maybe the go side, maybe the let's fight, especially with Patoy taking all that damage.
The poke there from Ezreal really paid off, and he does get it!
He got it with the True Shot Barrage. That is a 5 versus 4 now. Crescendo locks him back up. Cutie Pie has been dropped. In the background, Kiwi Kid is now down. Zuna gets the tower while ManCloud carries on fighting. Slingshot is being charged up, decides against it. And then with the inhib down and the Nexus turrets free, Vulcun are going to secure the win.
Congratulations to Vulcun, well-deserved win. Just talked about how Cloud9's execution is amazing. Vulcun's is definitely deserving of the second place spot in the LCS.
And they're even able to pick up a kill on the fountain steps. Zuna, in conjunction with the rest of the team, just shredding Skara down. 0-5-0, 28-6. That's a pretty one-sided shutout.
Yeah, the top two teams in the LCS really just showing their prowess right now and showing that they deserve to be where they are.
And great game. You have to give, to be fair, everybody on Vulcun, I think they did very well in all of their lanes. It was actually pretty even in the solo, the mid and the duo lane, but up top, Psycho Sid just decimated Kiwi Kid with his Zac.
Yeah, once he got that early gank from Smithy, it just completely... And literally, Smithy snowballed that lane for him, and he was not. Kiwi Kid was not able to come back at any point. The early Negatron cloak buy was very smart from Psycho Sid to take that money from the first kill and translate it into never being able to get pushed out of lane.
So two things that we've seen from the junglers there. Crumbs not really having that much of an impact on his Lee Sin. He never really got involved or was able to counter gank. And Smithy made it very clear he was more focused on his lanes than the jungle.
And I feel like that was pretty much reactive from Smithy. It started out because ManCloud was able to burn Skara's flash solo. That was a 1-versus-1 exchange. That's why Smithy initially camped mid, got the kill on Skara to get ManCloud going, and then it was an easy transition walking up to top lane to get that lane going too. And once you have both solo lanes already in a good position, it's hard for Crumbs to gank one of those lanes without being scared of a counter gank.
Well played to week 6 of the NALCS. And before we get to our last match of the day between CLG and Velocity, I'd first like to welcome Vulcun's shot caller and the league leader in assists, Bloodwater. So let's talk about that in-game discussion, because we heard you sounded happy, you sounded jovial. The guys, you got it, you got the kill. That game went so well for you. How was it being on the team? What was the calling like? What was the communication like?
Basically, we just focus on getting all the objectives, and once we get the lead, we're kind of hard to stop right now, and that just snowballed really well for us.
So I kind of want to know what inspired the dual AD composition for you guys.
The Koreans, basically. Cloud's been wanting to try it for a while now. He saw Link playing it, and it's been working out really good for us, so we're happy, we're satisfied with it.
And for yourself, why Sona so much?
Sona just works well with our team, and it fits really well with Nunu and AD carries because it just adds on a lot of damage and sustain.
Talk to me about the composition, because you ran the double AD, and it's something that we've seen a couple times elsewhere. How practiced were you coming into this game? Is this something that you just did here? Do you practice it in scrims? Talk to me more about that, like the training.
We haven't really played Nunu a lot, but it's not that hard. Smithy can play him, so we've played him twice in scrims, and it's working out great for us, especially with the double AD.
What's the signal? What's the decision in your team to say, we're going to do this? Is this something, a personal thing, or you go, we want to run this comp? Or do you see opponents' picks and say, hey, this would work here? So what's the go signal?
We try to base off our team comps around picks and bans and around our opponents. So this game, it was just the champion select went really well for us.
You guys also put a lot of emphasis on move speed here. You're one of the few supports that pick up the Shirelia's Reverie, plus you got mobility boots. Is that because of the team composition, or what went into that
I
purchase?
picked the mobility boots so I can roam faster and clear a lot of wards and get a lot of deep wards in their jungle. And the Shirelia is just to catch them off guard and help us. It's just an item that helps you maximize your lead in a way, you could say it.
Well, you guys have had the lead against Dignitas for a long time. That's your third game in a row versus them. What is it about Dignitas that allows you guys to continually win against them?
I don't know. I think as a team we've gotten better, way better, and that's really showing against every team that we're playing right now.
When you say as a team we've got way better, what specifically are you talking about now? Are you talking individual skill? Are you talking reaction as a team? Break it down for me. Why is Vulcun doing so much better this split?
It's honestly everything in general. With that included, strategizing, a lot of strategies, level 1s, picks, bans, gameplay, lane control, everything just falls into that category. We just improved a lot.
In terms of leveling up that game, how much practice is stepping away from the computer and looking at? You've mentioned looking at Korean games and looking at other regions. So how big of a portion of your training is that side of it?
It's actually not that big a portion, especially for us. We don't spend the whole day watching Korean games. We only take about 30 minutes or so. And yeah, it's like once or twice per week.
Okay, so for the last question, you guys have got one more game this weekend. Talk to me about planning preparation. Have you got any other double AP comps you're going to run, something like that, you know?
I'm not going to reveal anything, honestly, but we might have something in store.
All right, well, good luck with your matches. That is the last one.